Okay, so yeah, so then after our check-ins now, the question is for the three of us who are here, how do we want to handle the meeting today? Especially given circumstances, that Saya talked about on her end, given Newman's need for a walk and talk and to be away from the screen. Do we want to keep it, shorter? Do we want to, say do we want to make some kind of specific, tasks that, and run through those and then just, call it a day for now. So my questions around that really is, for as far as like the defining the purpose and mission, vision statements, we could go through that and kind of share anything we like. We could go through the distillation doc or the Jamboard or not. Because it's one thing where I don't think we would make any decisions today anyways. So, that's a question for you both, how much do we want to do there? And then, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I would love to, yeah, I think I don't think it should go like I would love to go through those and integrate that first session, um, and sort of distill down, sort of look and see. As I recall, um, like there was some good signal in there from the membership,
Mm-hmm.
And so, so I'd love to do that. So I think that even with just the 2 or 3 of us here, that'd be fine. It'd be great. Just, it's like, this is our HSC time. We should use it. And I think that would be a good way to do it. But yeah, maybe, I think we can get like quality work done in in an hour, or, any time is good. Is a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, that sounds good. We can do some of this kind of distilling, and maybe that's the idea, is that right? Because I started doing some of that, and it's great. It was really helpful for me it was a helpful exercise. So we can, kind of continue that on as a group, and then just not maybe worry so much about, writing the drafts or anything. And unless, we're sort of like, anything comes and we're inspired to do that.
Yeah,
And
unless
then,
something.
yeah, but yeah, whatever happens. And then, we can just sort of check in at the, towards the end. We can maybe say, like, let's take, a half hour for distillation, and then we can maybe check in around some operational items, and then see where we're at.
Okay.
How does that feel, Sai?
Sounds fine.
Okay.
I was hoping there'd be more people here so I could take a back seat. I made it quieter today than other times.
It could be, it might be fun. It might be fun because we can make it, like Rob going through the integration and he and I having a conversation, and then you being in that backseat witness. That would be kind of fun, because Rob and I just chat. We can sort of talk it out. It might be.
Yeah, I was going to say, you do have, right, and Newman and I, that you do have a couple of, like, what we say, naturally inclined, like front seat drivers.
Yeah, man.
So, well, well, why don't I just, catch us up to speed, and there is something that's interesting. Oh, and I would love, we don't necessarily have to do it, but we could watch Natalie's video. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch that yet, Saya.
Mm-mm.
I think Newman
it would
did.
be great.
Yeah.
Yes, and it is. Yes, that would be perfect for me right now. That would just be the right. That would be the right little snippet.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, because, right, so Natalie made this video because, she's at the ashram, and I forgot to play it 2 weeks ago, and that was am I sharing the whole screen? That was my bad. But it's really cool. So I think it'll be a great kind of opener for us. Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
So she's so bad.
Of HSC. Let's break it down a little. More specifically, HSC is an interesting place to be. An online, remote, digital meeting space at its base level current expression. On a deeper level, it's a collective reservoir of knowledge, structured organizational tools, and genuine connection and experience. Holistic, all levels, emphasizing wholeness, body, mind, spirit.
Hmm. I'm not getting any audio.
Yeah, the audio cut out for me too. I thought it might be because of my setup here.
I heard a tiny bit, like at the beginning. I was getting a few words, but then nothing.
Yeah, that's my bad. Well, I muted myself so that way I wouldn't my personal sounds wouldn't interfere, but I didn't think about the fact that
Yeah.
that it actually muting the whole video. All right, I'll start from here. Sorry.
That's all good.
Tools. Holistic, all levels, emphasizing wholeness, body, mind, spirit, top, middle, bottom, before, during, after, interaction, and interdependence of all its parts. Systems, multiple components functioning and interacting in coordination, sequentially and simultaneously, each in their place and time, natural rhythms and elevated plans. Cooperative, contributing in fair, honest ways that feel balanced, so that all members involved gain benefit. They hold and can be held. A co-op where satellites of allied individuals with unique gifts and challenges come together to unite a common goal, intention, or desired outcome. Where can these droplets lead? From my experience at the ashram so far, their 60 years of success in community on site is rooted and preserved by a core of consistent, repeatable teachings, integral to practical daily life and ever expanding towards spirituality and diversity. There is an agreed exchange between those that want to learn or contribute and those who have expertise and experience, and of course, compassion. The teachings act as a meeting place, a discussion piece. The ashram's challenge in today's world is how to adapt the teachings enough to evolve with the times and the modern personal needs, but not compromise the origin and essence of the practice, giving the people a sense of reliability. What makes HSC reliable, relatable, and yet adaptive? What makes it attractive? Let us sit with that. For me, there is an essence of providing structure and support. Two parts. Recognizing patterns and building them into positive outcomes. On one level, HSC is for the simple exchange of participating, the practice of participating. On another level, the exchange requires payment. Paying. Approaching existing companies and demonstrating the benefit of a systems design that they could apply to increase their productivity, health, life, work balance, etc. Participants. Providing essential peer-to-peer support groups for evolving entrepreneurs on their island of misfits. Organizing, pioneering, collecting, leading. Well, I hope this has been completely useless and you enjoyed allowing your mind to wander. Carry on, Satnam, and Namaste.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Thank you, Natalie.
Yeah. I mean, one, it was just a beautiful video, and the fact that she took the time out or took the opportunity to create that. And that's just, that's like a document. That's a thing that she will have with that ashram experience. And I think that's one of the great things about HSC is that it provides this opportunity for people to build things for others, for themselves, wider community, and I think she really took the opportunity. I think it's one of the great, well, yeah, it's just, I was very, very impressed with it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, it's really, I just, as always, I appreciate, her way of presenting ideas, thoughts, and information. And so I think it's really helpful to have that and have that input, come and inform everything else.
What sort of jumped out at you at this listen through?
Yeah, I think the structure and the balance of like structure and participation and payment and how those like these the different necessary pieces and how they interplay, and then also like the interplay, like you said at the ashram of the people who are sort of know the teachings and providing value, and then people who are receiving those.
Oh yeah,
it's very cool. Yeah. Anything jump out to either of you?
Curious if Saya's in the back seat.
I'm in the back seat.
I think the thing that jumped out at me, and I guess sort of thinking about it in terms of like the skill share, like I really think like I'm in this operational mode. I'm in this springtime kind of like, okay, the bulbs have been have been planted, the seeds have been spread, it's just like the sprouts are coming, and I think that the value of HSC isn't, in a weird way, it's not the governance, especially during this time. Like our structure is now set. That the value is, and she's just like, this this value reservoir, and entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs, improving. The way she phrased it, I'm not exactly certain, but that really jumped out at me, and it really sort of made me think of the Skillshare, and I'm like, oh right, like it's not about HSC, it's not about the container, it's now about the content, maybe the context and the content, but what value can we, as we are now, like what value can we offer, what value can we transmit, and I think it's a serious thing, the social media Skillshare, like listening to, so it's the second one that we heard, and the people were there with real need, and there's another thing that she said, relatable, like what's so attractive to HSC is that it's super relatable. It's like you and I, Rob, we're like, oh, look, all these technology tools. It's like, can we use them to make a better world that that we can sort of envision? We're like, yeah, everybody can communicate. It's like we can communicate and coordinate, and we can get on the same page. Oh, now there's this blockchain. Oh, there's this tokenomics and economics. Like, can't we build something? There's this real opportunity that's sort of out there that we see, but then and that makes you and I relatable. And then when I went to the social media thing, I like look around, and they're like people having the same issues. For example, there was like someone there that was like, I'm in a project, an art project, and we need social media. And now I'm kind of the person to do it. And they, and there's all this information out there on social media. You can go on YouTube and try to find, but for whatever reason, they found our community, and then looking around the table, there were all these people with that same similar sort of thing. I've got this need, and it matches up with HSC's offering. Yeah, I'm really impressed with what Zoe did with the social media thing, and the group that formed around it.
I guess what I can say about, oh, sorry, Newman.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, just what's landing with me most from Natalie's video is like the tone and the quality of her share, and like the artistry of it. How cool if we can have a group where people can express themselves in different ways. We can be very executive, we can be sort of organizationally driven, but sometimes it's good to have a contemplative approach to something. And I think we all know that. So I just found Natalie's video as a great example of another way of expressing around what we're up to. So, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, and I think that's part of that beauty of the collaborative group and mindset, right? Because I'm always going to be sort of thinking in the kind of ways that I'm thinking, right? I mean, I can kind of shift and evolve, but right, but I still I come in with my general ways of being and thinking, and then opening up to others, right, provides a lot of value for me. And I think for the group, right, it brings in that collective mind. I know I was thinking about, right, these Skillshares where, so far so good. People are, like Newman just said, right, pretty happy. The Skillshares, it's cool, like because they came like to make that decision came from the collective mind. It did. It wasn't necessarily like it wasn't like my decision. Like that wasn't, I was like, oh, okay, this is really what I think, should happen. And I'm going to come in and, kind of point the group that way. It was just like, all right, collective mind, what do you want to do? And then the collective mind kind of, launched that. So, and it's probably one of the reasons for its success is because it was, everybody was like, oh yeah, great. This is, everybody was like, let's, seemed like they were on board with that. So I was sort of reflecting upon that one, I just thought to bring it in because that to me feels like um a tangible example of what a collective mind, like and decision making looks like, because sometimes that's like we all get it, but it can be kind of a ephemeral concept, so yeah. So thank you again, Natalie. Why don't
Yeah.
I, and Newman, I think to go, I think that right like this, so this, we have this kind of current structure, the skill shares and, then these operational meetings. And yeah, I think that, there is also something where um, we, I think that the container that's holding the skill shares is still a little wobbly, and I think that's kind of where the
Sure.
start of where this purpose, vision, mission, comes from is to get the structure that's holding our current container to get that more, sturdy. Um, yeah.
Have you ever heard that that little phrase that's like figure out who you are and do it on purpose? Have you ever heard that? I don't know who. I don't know. It's
No, I
some
don't think
quote
so.
that wafted in. But that's what it is. It's sort of like figuring out who we are and then doing it on purpose. So it's like, oh yeah, and
Hmm.
and doing it on purpose means like not be wobbly. So yeah, let's get to where these skill shares happen in the most HSC way. Like you mentioned, like letting the collective sort of hive mind, sort of discover that that's what they wanted to do Skillshare about, or that that's what they, that there was some collective decision making. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like that felt good. Like how can we support it and repeat it, or what are the best conditions for that to happen again? Um, and then yeah, like it shouldn't feel wobbly. Yeah, that's if it
Yeah.
feels like yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
how to
think,
make it less wobbly. Yeah,
yeah, I think how to make it less wobbly. And I think, and then some of that, and for me, it's always, a lot of that, structure is around the coordination, and having, right. Like, I think that there's still a way where to me, the coordination aspect, it feels certainly less wobbly than it did, like in December, but it still feels a little wobbly in the fact of like, you know, if I like if you know like if I stop, sort of doing, like facilitating or coordinating, like is it gonna fall over?
right, right. And that's
Um,
a shitty spot to be in, yeah, for sure.
yeah, I mean it's okay, it's fine. Yeah. In as much as I feel like it's like the timing in our journey is like is totally, it feels totally reasonable. But that's still yeah, that still sort of
Well,
is a that's there's still a kind of reality there, right? That
it's like, yeah, it's sort of like in the band, it's always like, the I had this very real experience over the last couple of weeks where I was on a team, and it's actually funny because the guy I was like nominated to do the team leadership, and I guess I could have said no, but I didn't quite realize what it entailed. It turned out being a lot more work, and basically all of the work of this team. And then the guy that nominated me, now I'm realizing, didn't do anything. He actually
Mhm.
blew off. He didn't come to one whole meeting. I'm just kind of venting for a second. I'll just be a minute. He didn't come to a whole meeting, and then he I got bitched out at it as the leader, and then he gave us the other three teammates like the business, like, hey, we have to be more. And I'm like, I private messaged one of the other teammates. I'm like, am I getting this right? I think he was pulling a Trump. He was just sort of like, he just sort of pretended that it wasn't him that made a mistake, you
Uh,
know, and so I'm just like, why am I doing all this work basically then, and then splitting up evenly the reward. And it was paid, and I agreed to do what I did, and so I can't really complain too much, Parable of the Talents, or the, what's the one? No, what's the one where he pays the people in the field, and the same people that worked all day got the same amount. And anyway, so I'm having to deal with that. But it's what the point of this story is that when you feel that it's like coerced kind of work, and that you can't, that I was doing more work than the others on the team. It just felt shitty. It just felt
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And I think that's part of what we're trying to create, is something that doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't feel like I'm in the same position, as you were. So it doesn't feel, like I don't say that to say that it feels like, shitty or icky, right now, but also to bring it in as a, as something, that does want to, like it does, like it shouldn't, just if you take me out of it, to make it more, more stable and less wobbly, right? Is that any one person, if any one person sort of has to drop away, that the thing doesn't fall over. If you
right.
just take Rob out, specifically out of it. So all right, so let's look at some of this, figure out here. I wrote, so figure out who you are and do it on purpose. All right, so let's figure out who we are.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's not who. Yeah. So look at that Jamboard. Look at the
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. So now there's something, let me see. Yeah. All right, so I went through this process. Let me just share, real quick, this process, because there's something that it's like, oh, okay. All right, so what I did was I did this kind of right, this and I'm not calling it a distillation doc. Distillation doc. It's more poetic. Anyways, so I did was basically I took, the notes that from our meeting, that we wrote down, and then I also took, what I did was I took the transcription from the meeting, right? Because these are our written notes, and so these are good, a really good record. But I also took the entire transcription, and I had, Chat GPT just like summarize it. I said, summarize it, but just the parts, kind of talking about what are the, right, like I told him, the ideas and sentiments, around these specific, pieces, and did a pretty good job. So, this is what it came up with. And then I had, I did the same thing with the meeting notes, right? And I kind of had GPT do a summary there. And then, the other thing I did was, I thought this could be kind of an exercise in connection with the Jamboard, was as I was reading through the meeting notes, I kind of I just went along and started to categorize everything. I mean, maybe it was just doing the same thing GPT was doing, except it took me longer and more effort. But I started to, as I went along, and I thought this could, anybody could participate in this way with the comments, started to go along, and the same, at a certain point, the same ideas started coming in again and again. So I didn't make comments. I just put like little check marks. And it was,
there as well.
and it's cool because, there is a certain point, even though there's a lot of, like what we're dealing with is broad, there's a lot of, kind of ideas, but there is a certain point where they all kind of, where there's a finite amount of them, so we can say this is this idea, that idea. And then, we can go ahead and, do some of that on the Jamboard. What I do want to mention, though, there's this way where I also had Chat GPT just for kicks, I said, all right, well, now that all of this was in the chat, right? No, that's not the one. I said, just for kicks, let's why don't you just write out, like a mission and purpose and vision statement. And I didn't put that in the document yet because, I didn't, I thought maybe we'd want to do some distilling of our own, but it did that. And of course, like happens a lot when I'm working in this way with ChatGPT is I read through this and I'm like, dang, that's really good, So I just wanted to bring that in because there is a way where we could just say, oh, okay, well, let's just like take those, and their consolidation and we can just work directly from there. So I don't know if folks have opinions. There's a way where I like doing it in this, kind of like um, way where we're really distilling down. And then there's also this way where it's like, oh, well, that's pretty efficient. Um, yeah, what are people's thoughts?
I just think it's very cool what you did. That's a lot of material to go through, and good job.
Yeah, bonus on ChatGPT use. That's awesome. I'm scrambling back to the computer because I'm like, ooh, I gotta check this out. I gotta check this out. My eyes have rested enough. Here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Well, what we could do is we could, take like all of us, we could take 10 minutes, right? And go through and we could write stuff on the Jamboard. We could write comments here, but I think maybe the idea is, my thought was like to take this distillation doc and then use that as kind of a tool to then put, I know we have a lot of material on the, in values and the goals and measurables, but we could distill down purpose, vision, mission. We could take 10 minutes and do that and then come back and see what we have, take a look at what, GPT outputted, and then, decide how we want to handle it from there. How's that sound?
That sounds
I,
good. Are you picturing that we put new sticky notes in here? Or move around ones that are in other places? Or I'm just clarifying question.
Sure. Yeah, I was envisioning that we're putting new sticky notes here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And again, we have, there's a lot of this as far as values and the measurables, and so some of that might apply, but
Yeah.
I think that this is really like, you know,
Yeah.
occupying these three areas.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Well, then I'll just keep my screen up, on the Jamboard, and I can pull this out for myself on another
Yeah.
window.
I mean, you don't need to share if you don't. I think we're probably all going to be in the Jamboard and individually in the documents. So
For sure. All right. Well, I'll
we'll
continue
see.
to share just for maybe if anybody's watching the video, it'll be less boring than just watching our faces.
Right.
Um,
It's true.
so let me give us a timer. I'll time us for 10 minutes.
Sweet.
And go. No.
And I hated that I do have a thing in at the top of the hour.
Okay. Well,
Here, I'm gonna tell them I'll be a bit late.
yeah. Well, all right. We'll let this last minute and a half go, and then we can wrap you up, Newman.
Cool, 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 cool. Thank you. Ah, nice.
Okay. All right. How do we do?
I thought that was fun. Although I'm just now asking ChatGPT, help me understand the difference between mission, vision, and purpose.
Hmm. All right. I have a document that I created for that, so I'll share that with folks. It's good. I spent a lot of time on on that, so I'm going to share that document because that is a great question. And a lot of these could fall into different categories. So Newman, to wrap you out,
Yeah.
what's the I mean, we have Skillshare next week. Yeah, what is oh, okay. Well, this is what yeah, bring it. There's a couple of things that I wanted to ask.
Oh yeah, no. Take your time. Take your time. Those guys can. Those guys. I told them I'm gonna be late. And it's gonna be.
Yeah. Well, I guess the one question is how to proceed from here. Do we just let people over the next 2 weeks, sort of put stuff on the Jamboard and make comments. And then the week, the week after next week, we see about, kind of writing writing these statements. Does that make sense? And then, operationally, yeah, there is a question of on skill shares, like, I think we talked about this a little bit of like, I have like 5 or 6 that I think that I could offer that could be of value. And so how to poll people, does it make sense, and just kind of logistically, like there's a question of does it make sense to just put the like put something, another tab or something on this spreadsheet, where people can, like I can say, hey, these are like all of my, people can just list, their different ideas, and then have a place where other people can, make like star that, or check.
I think that would be a great way to sort of, give people, to let that hive mind preference sort of emerge. Because that's actually one of the things that I was really looking for guidance. Like, okay, I've got a couple of skill shares that I could do, and then I thought, oh, maybe we wanted to stay on the theme of social media, or tighten in the scope, like maybe do like a technical thing, like here's a social media manager tool, like you and I are all about the tools, and we're like, okay, here's how to automate a campaign and get into some nuts and bolts stuff, or widen out within the scope of HSC and say, okay, here's how to like I just did this big thing on eyes, and I could take everybody through like a qigong set for your eyes, because we're all on the computer, but see, those are 2 very sort of big different things, and I'd love to get some input from in the beginning, and I think that would be a good way to do it. It's just a new on the Skillshare sign up sheet, just say possible skill shares, and then just sort of highlight it, and then we would see it sort of bubble up. We could say, oh, because right now I don't know what Joshua Walters is going to do, so it would be cool if I could look up Joshua on this other thing, and we've got that sort of in our needs and offerings on the member portal. But I think that this might be like, really close to where it is. It's just like, here are my Skillshare offerings. And we just, take some time out and say, hey, everybody put in your skills. Doesn't mean that you have to do it, but it's that opportunity that we're giving people to say, hey, look, what you have is valuable. And then wouldn't it be cool if people like respond to it? Oh, shit, I would love to hear about bird watching, or I'd love to do qigong, or just the cool on it. It's like, I'd much rather have a thing, this. I like that idea. I like that idea.
Yeah, great. Yeah, because there's ways where the member portal is building out, but I hear what you're saying. If we have it here on this sort of easily accessible place, then at the same time where people are signing up for their skill shares, is probably just going to be easy for people to kind of wrap their head around it and engage with it. Is what I'm
okay.
hearing.
Oh! This is the emergent quality, because this is the action. These skill shares are the action. We're gonna get to that member portal, but we've flipped it around now, because it's like, now we have this action, a skill share. Well, okay, we've got to sign up, and here are the skill shares, but what's the next topic going to be? Oh, okay, well, now we go to a new tab, and you can see all these topics, and you're like, oh, okay, I see that one's tentative or planned. It's kind of actually like you've got your email sending thing. How you can see it's like, it's like needed, content needed, and then you see it sort of develop. Actually, that's really cool. So, and then check this out. This is my big idea that's got me accelerated, is that then, because I don't know what Joshua Walters is going to talk about, but I also don't know who Joshua Walters is. So then you just say, hey, link to the profile. Then all of a sudden, it's important to have a professional profile that highlights your skills and why, why would Newman give you a Qigong class? Like, well, where did it come from? I don't even know what Qigong is. And it's like, oh no, Newman's been practicing Qigong since 2012. And here's a paragraph on how he got into Qigong and not yoga. And here's why an eye thing. Okay, here's a paragraph on the eye thing. And these are all part of a profile, that again is one of the things that HSC has on offer for a budding entrepreneur in this sort of, creator economy, yeah.
Okay. All
Get
right.
so excited. I get so excited.
Yeah. 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 All right. Well, and Sai can, if you have any, Sai, you can share input, but, Newman, if you need to go now, anything else, that we have for Newman? I mean,
No.
Sai?
I would just say, just a reminder to also just jump in and start offering skill shares. There's a lot of openings in the calendar.
Yeah.
So, that's been my MO, I guess, is just to like jump in and do it. So, in addition to finding out like what people are really into.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people have been jumping in, yeah. So, I mean, it's cool. I mean, at a certain point, we might, need to concentrate more on having, getting attendees rather than getting people to facilitate.
Yeah.
I'm putting one in for the 30th, April 30th.
Nice.
Newman
Yeah.
led
Oh, great.
Skillshare. And I don't, to be determined, topic Skillshare.
Yeah.
Topic to be determined, TBD.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it works to, to put this here, right? This is, again, like this kind of easily accessible thing. I think it does go, like you're saying, Newman, well with kind of where we've been, like the little shift in the onboarding process, is like not start with the member portal, but like.
Yeah, start with what is the skill that you want to increase? Want to highlight and recognize what is the thing that you do, and then how do you do it on purpose? And how do you do it on purpose on stage? How do you do it on purpose on stage? And wouldn't this be great for money, for real money, for a slushy, like, oh yeah, this you get a slushy, come and do a Skillshare, you get a slushy,
Yeah. Well, I really
Even
want
if
to get to that point. I know but I think this purpose and vision and mission, it just has to come first.
It's funny, the coordinate, and did you guys do the coordinate? I think it's finishing like tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
I need to do it. It'll be my first experiment with it.
Oh yeah. We can even do that in real time if you want.
Today.
Yeah, I'm gonna fire mine up.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Just yeah. Let me see. Can you see my all right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen while I go into my
yeah, don't do that. Yeah, there you go.
That's actually a possible Skillshare is password manager.
Password manager, yeah, totally.
It's great. It's been life-changing for me.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Coordinate is not coming up for me. I don't know if it's
No?
No.
Let me see. I mean, you have to sign in.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's this even before the sign-in page, it's just app. Okay, here it comes. Oh, you know what it's doing is it's my friggin' MetaMask.
Are you able to get inside?
Getting there.
Okay.
You should. I did get in towards the beginning of this month to poke around, and There we go with the passwords.
Cool. Oh yeah, the epoch ends in 2 days.
Sweet.
But I already went. I went and I can always adjust it, but I went and gave away all my give first in case I forgot about it.
Solutions. I think I did mine. Okay. Oh, are you sharing your screen again?
I'm sharing my screen, yeah. Somebody put like 7 different emojis under Saya's contribution. I don't know who would do
That's
that,
bizarre.
but
Who did that?
some
Who did that? That was
weirdo.
you. Proud.
Yeah. They actually have there's a limit of these 7 emojis that, oh yeah, you can do a brain. I didn't want to give you a brain. I guess that's
I have one of those. Thanks.
all right. Now you have a brain, but I didn't want to do one of these or a skull. That I don't know. That didn't feel like,
Not right. Yeah.
yeah.
Killing
Oh,
it.
we're-
Killing it.
What's
oh, we
that?
switched to the first. Do we switch our epochs from the 28th to the first, or maybe it's my phone that changes on the 28th?
Epochs. No, I mean it's just yeah, 1 to.
Always been the first.
Oh, I think maybe I just started it on the 28th, the first one. But yeah, now it's just 1 to 1. And here's our current map.
Nice. Look at that. Look at that. Bloop, 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 bloop. That's the sound effect. Bloop, 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 bloop,
Yep.
bloop.
Sorry,
And-
my login's going, but it's going slowly here. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I want to have a more, I would like, this could be something to like start, like in a structural sense. Like, wouldn't it be cool if we just had this, like, oh, hey, thanks for this Skillshare. This is HSC, and this is the coordinate page. This is an epoch. This is what's been going on. Like as a part of the structure, like, yeah. I don't know.
All right.
Oh, here we go. We've got a new Jonas joined.
Oh,
That's
cool.
cool.
Right.
We
All
have
right.
a
I'm
new,
in.
a new
And
person.
Okay,
How
I
do-
gotta
Yeah, I
jump
think
out.
so. I mean, that's, kind of what that's I'm excited about the future, and I think that, there's a way where I'm like, all right, can we just get our purpose and mission and whatever just done? So that way we can,
Yeah.
get onto like, whatever, coordinating, doing things,
I hear you.
governance, all that stuff. Oh, they're actually, speaking of purpose, there is a purpose workshop. I mean, I put that in the announcements in the Discord. There's a
Oh,
purpose
yeah.
workshop tomorrow that I'm going to go to. So it's, if either of you care to.
I think I got it on my calendar for Wednesdays. Is kind of a big day for me, but
No
what
worries.
what time is it?
It's at 10:30 Eastern time.
I yeah, I could probably make it. I would have to shave off. I'd have to shave off a little bit of another meeting, but that might work.
Yeah.
But speaking of shaving off meetings, oh my God, it's already gotten late. Okay,
Yeah.
ciao, y'all. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. How are you doing with coordinate?
I am giving. I'm figuring out how to give these tokens to people, how to think about it. So I see that I have a list of people I can give to,
Mm-hmm.
and I can just decide how many to give to each person. And then I did see on a different page, like right now I'm in the give
Yeah.
tab, that there's another page of like activity where you and Newman at least had written like specifically about sorry,
No, it's okay.
brain is really slow today. About different things that had happened, like contributions and stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah. So it's, we'll see how we do it as we go along. But the idea is, right, that like, people share their contributions. I mean, again, it's kind of still kind of small, but it's it helps more as it goes on. But that people share their contributions. They share, okay, this is what I've done this month,
Yeah.
and that way other people know, because people might do things, as we go along, right? Zoe might be doing things that are with other team members, but that have nothing to do with me, but I still want to like know about it. So essentially where people share what their contributions are, you know, and at this base level, it might also just be like, hey, I did like I did, I spent an hour with Newman, and I, helped him do his email marketing, set up his email marketing or set up his website, right? So I'm going to put that contribution in. I think hopefully at a certain point, right, there's a way where we can do that a little in more sort of exacting ways, but that's the idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just did all the give stuff without really thinking about all the like very specific actions, but
Yeah.
thinking generally about, well, those who participated that I know of. So that was Jonas, participated in a meeting. Natalie sent in her video. Newman did a lot of things, a lot of meetings and various things. And you did a lot of various things. And Zoe showed up to meetings and led a skill share. So I kind of just threw numbers around
Yeah.
based on my memory of things. So
I think that's it,
that's like my experiment, I guess, is yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of that big experiment, in like, in recipient based, value, um,
Yeah.
assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, and it's, the idea is to, sort of get away from like, like that, uh, that does get away, allow the chance to move away from, competition against each other,
Right. Right.
to just like, yeah, hey, let's everybody, I'm just going to contribute, and then folks are just going to share with me, from based on their, their ideas and their perception, right? Like, I think you did a lot this past month. You really jumped in a lot, right? So for whatever reason, I'm saying, okay, give
Yeah.
Saya 37,
Yeah.
Newman 17, and this, and right, like,
Yep.
and that over time, seeing you're giving me, you're giving me a lot. And
Yep.
then if I click on you, then we can see where it's all going. Here, you're giving to all those people in the brown, and you're receiving from the green. That's
Cool.
fun.
Cool.
Oh, where'd it go? Anyways, yeah, and this is, this is kind of one way. I mean, I could start talking about like, the different methods of value exchange and tokenomics I've been thinking about, but I don't know that that's necessary right now. I mean, again, I'd
Yeah.
love to, but
Yeah, no, I'd love to learn more too. My brain won't retain much today, so I'm honoring that.
totally.
Yeah, okay, cool. So then we start another cycle March 1st.
Hmm.
Why does it say give to teammates? I just did that. It still wants me to. Oh, maybe because the epoch's not over, it's still giving me the option, even though I've distributed.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
That must be what it is.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
always, right, you can always change your distribution levels
Yeah. Yeah.
until it ends.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, like, for example, I'm doing a value exchange. Well, I'm receiving value, I should say, from Nyla, for example, but she's not in here yet, so I can't attribute it. And I'll check in with her again. I think she does want to be like onboarded into this.
Yeah.
And you know, there must be other people. Like Kimberly has come to a few meetings. She's not
Oh,
in
yeah.
here. Basil, same deal. So, you know, just I don't know, maybe that goes in the meeting notes or something, like, hey peeps, it might be great to get you involved so that we can include you in the
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, the idea is that it'll naturally, like, people will be more inclined to jump in and get involved, you know, as things move forward, you know, as there is more value. Because, you know, right now, like, there's a hurdle, right? You have to, like, you know, you have to figure out how to log in, how to use Coordinate, and it's on the blockchain. So that means you're touching into Web3, you know, and you know, and you're doing it, you know, like, I mean, we're doing it because we're creating this thing, and people want to create the model, you know, but there's also this way of, like, you're doing it because you know, these tokens, right? You're like, oh, okay, well, this reward is, you know, worth me, you know, jumping in here and learning and figuring out how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Anything on the any thoughts from the Jamboard or from that exercise?
I was wishing the text sizes were more similar so it was easier to read.
Okay.
You know, like when we put a lot of words on one sticky, it gets harder to read. But that's just my personal need.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, you're right. Maybe there is an edit option for that. I thought it was cool. You know, I don't know that we need to articulate a purpose, vision, and mission. Those were just words that came as a part of the process. Like, I was thinking, and maybe you too, maybe we talked about this, that for some people, mission might make a lot of sense, and for some people, purpose might make a lot of sense, and that the conversation could include those terms, but you know, wondering like where do we actually end up with a mission statement or a vision or plan for the vision, or a purpose is usually a statement, it's usually a mission statement, purpose. Anyways, it's just all material to play with. It doesn't mean that all of those fields are necessary to articulate.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a good reflection. I mean, my thought, right, and I've done, again, you know, like I'm interested in it, you know, and so I've done, you know, looked into a lot, like, what is a vision statement? What is a mission statement? What is a purpose? Like, what are the differences? And there are, you know, to me, there are, like, pretty, you know, there's distinct differences. And I think that, you know, I've found that there's a lot of value in having those, and having them, like, specifically clarified at the beginning of, you know, any venture, you know, whether it's a one-person venture or you know, multiple people, because, and of course they can always change, but I think that the idea is that you then, like, everybody knows, like, what we're doing, you know. And especially, like, you know, a decentralized organization, I think it's even more important, because it's right. It's not a hierarchy of persons, you know, it's a hierarchy of purpose. So, you know, when everybody's working in decentralized, self-managed ways, you know, the thing that binds everyone together is that shared purpose. And so, yeah, I think it can, you know, I think it's like a really great exercise, and that, you know, I think, you know, you know, something always to note is that, like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, I would be totally fine just, you know, with whatever, you know, with what ChatGPT wrote out today, I looked over and I was like, well, that's pretty good. You know, it'd be fine just saying, okay, like let's do this, and then you know then we can, you know, I think also the idea is that for everybody who's here to you know vote on it, you know, or to say to be on board and to agree to it and say, okay, this sounds good, you know, because the purpose is like why, you know, the purpose I think is the base, you know, like why are we, you know, what is the purpose of this whole thing, you know, what are we trying to do,
Mhm.
and that's to me it's like this like the all sort of ultimate North Star, and then the vision is kind of like what are you, it's like the aspirational part, you know, like what
Mm.
is, it's big, you know, and it might not ever even be able to be met, you know, but like what is that vision when you see, you know, like if this thing was successful, this is what the world would look like. um and then, you know, then the mission is a little more, you know, is the most out of those three, the most tangible.
Mm.
You know, it's like, oh, okay, this is our like, this is how we're the mission is like the, you know, kind of way that we're you know, like it's that the vision is coming to fruition, you know, and that we're like actualizing the purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, you know, some you know, my perspective is I think that it's important to have those and to have them like have something, you know, like that's there and agreed to, um, because it gives, you know, a place for everybody to work from. But I also think that like they don't need to be perfect. You know, I think we're already at a place where we're, you know, where we could just say, hey, this, you know, this is what it is, you know, and let's go from here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the other side is where like people can try and make it so perfect, you know, it takes so
Yeah.
long on it. There's just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm losing steam.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, so what makes sense in kind of in summary or next step or
yeah. Well, maybe you know, maybe to just, you know, send something out, put something on Discord, and then maybe at the next email, just a little, you know, a little thing on the bottom. I guess the question is like, do we just continue on with this 2 weeks from now?
that's a good question. You know, if you know, the question arises when three of us show up to this meeting after 7 or 8 we're at the last community meeting. It could be any number of circumstances. It's still a small cohort, even if it's 8. And if 3 of those people have circumstances or work projects or whatever, then the group feels differently. But it just begs the question for me, like, does the whole collective want to work on this? Or is it a subgroup distilling and coming back to the bigger collective and saying, here's what we came up with. This is our proposal. Are there any adjustments or tweaks or concerns with this?
Yeah,
Right. And if the more people are showing up more for the skill shares, that's awesome. And showing up more for, you know, operations in different ways, like operational stuff, and not so much that like umbrella
hmm,
process that we're in. That's cool. Not everybody has to be into that. Right?
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
It's
I
not a
think,
jam. It's just not.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
fine.
No, I think so. I mean, and that's great input, right? Like thank you. That's very helpful input, you know, just, yeah, because it does, I think it's just that same idea that we talk about, the we who are here, you know, it isn't.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, so like like people have been, it's right, it's giving people like the opportunity to join into that. And then right at that point where we're saying, okay, now like it's time to do it, then the we who are here who can just kind of, you know, I mean, you know, like write it up. And then I think that you
Right.
spoke to like the what I would, you know, um offer as the next step, right? Which is the first step into like figuring out the governance, like more, um, to kind of tangible, practical or governance, which is okay. How are we making decisions? And so it doesn't have to be fancy at first, but basically just say, like that's the, kind of how it works. Like a core group says, okay, this is like our proposal. This is the proposal for the purpose, vision, mission. We're putting it out there now. Everybody, who's in the group, whether you showed up to the meeting or not, okay, let's all vote on it. And if that passes, then that's what it is. So it's basically just saying like, okay, what? And again, it's always this we who are here. Does
Right.
everybody like this?
Right.
And if they do, then we have it, and then we can, and then that actually I like, because that gives us, starts in on the next step, which is how are we making decisions?
Right. Right. It's so funny. My brain was just like I was thinking to myself, do I have an idea for how to lead this next meeting? And it turns out I'm signed up to facilitate the next community meeting. I went and checked the calendar. I was like, oh, we're going to be in March already. That's me. Which is great, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about flipping it on its head and doing operations first, envisioning second, as a possibility, as a way of making some of that balance. Because there have been some voices saying like, we don't want to skip operations. We're excited to, take on some of those tasks that Rob's been doing, or we want to talk about how this thing's gonna work or whatever. So
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm super excited for operations and moving and more. And yeah, exactly. Like, what are the roles? What are the tasks? How do we work on value share, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's cool. Yeah, I think whatever, like I'm whatever you think, whatever, sort of comes to you, but that's a cool idea. Yeah, I just think that I've been, there is a way where I feel like before getting too far into, too far with too many people into just, operation stuff, that it's a good idea to, have something, have that sort of flag to fly that
Yeah.
just says, yeah, this is what we're doing. And it's not, like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's what it's like we all have agreed to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well,
All
hi,
right.
Basil.
Hi,
I'm
Basil.
actually just about to step out. So if you two take the time to chat and catch up, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I can catch up Basil and get, any input from him, and yeah. So you can get going. Thanks for staying so long.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad to. Take care, everybody.
And then
See
I
you.
actually have speaking of operations, I have an operational question for you, which is next week's email.
Yeah.
It should be like a little easier as far as like setting it up. So do you still want to just, send that out?
Yeah, I just assume I'm doing it. I think you just like had more time before I had time, and or whatever, you felt like it, which I totally appreciate. That was fine. I'm happy to continue and send it this coming week. Yeah,
Cool.
I guess, am I asking Joshua Walters for any content?
I've been in touch with him
Oh,
about that.
person. Okay.
Yeah, and that's actually either way, that's I've been in touch with him, but like that's also Zoe's job, So if we just to, try and keep these roles, fill them, let them, fill themselves out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
I
really
can write
Zoe's
something.
role. So Zoe and
Yeah.
I will worry about that as far as like getting the
Okay.
Skillshare to you, and then right. I guess then the question is do you want to write the content for it, or shall I write it and get it to you? because I don't know that we have. Let me see.
Oh. Well, what's in that part of the spreadsheet? I'm not looking at the right.
Weekly
tab.
email sending sign up. Yeah, so we don't have, so I don't think we decided yet
Okay.
as far
Uh,
as,
Oh, I see. Yeah, we didn't decide.
I mean, if you,
Because of what I'm carrying right now, I would do less rather than more.
yeah, well, I was thinking that, right, because I'm already sort of half in it. I was thinking, why don't I write this week? And then maybe you could sign up for the writing and sending the
Yeah.
11th, because I'm going to be traveling I'm going to be traveling like
Yeah.
8, 9, 10.
Yeah, I'm putting myself in there. Plus, I'm leading the next one, so it just makes sense to
Yeah.
to write it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay.
Totally. Cool. All right. Collaboration in
Okay,
action.
great. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Hi, Basil.
Hey, what I miss?
Well, you missed a good amount of purpose. So we talked I mean, we talked a lot about purpose and purpose, vision, mission, and did some distilling down there. We watched, Natalie's video, and we did some operational stuff. So basically, what I'll share my screen, and then you can. So really, what we did first was, oh yeah. So we went through, right, like there's this kind of distillation doc. Yeah, I renamed it. This this is all the notes that we had from our meeting, and just said that people can make comments. And I know you'll be into this part. I took the meeting transcription of our visioning meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I had ChatGPT, consolidate it all, which did a pretty good job. And then consolidate from our meeting notes. And then here, I can add this now, but I actually had GPT write a couple versions of a mission. I like the first ones better, but of a purpose, mission, and vision statement.
Nice.
Which is interesting because, I figured it'd be, it'd probably be nice for, the humans to do it, but there is a way where
that is
I could
humans
be
doing
like,
it.
I could be like, hey, hey, this is pretty good. We can just roll. We could just roll with it.
Well, it is humans doing it. It's an amalgamation of all humans doing it, which is great because we don't have to always constantly be trying to reinvent the wheel when it's just, we always get so hung up on like these details when it should just be like much faster.
Yeah. And that's something that we talked about, because so there's this document, and then, there's a Jamboard, which we filled out, which people can fill out, over the next 2 weeks or write anything in. So, I think this is good, and these are good documents to have. And then we talked about how do we want to do this, right? Like how do we want to get and Sai and I had a good discussion about, how do we want to write these out? If they're not, I mean, my perspective is it's, I feel like it's necessary. I think it's just a great idea to have a purpose, vision, and mission statement that the group at the time has agreed to.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's like, I kind of would be fine just with saying, okay, this is, like whatever GPT wrote up. Okay, let's look
Like
at that.
version
If everybody
1.
likes it.
Yeah, version 1, and then we can and then we can commit it. We can commit it into code as like version 1, and then we can
Right.
circle back around and make 1.1 or version 2 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, right. Yeah, so I think it's a good idea to have it, and I think that it's also good. I think maybe we're talking about like not this coming week is the Skillshare, but after that, the week after, to try and, sort of make a decision on it. And so that way, because I think folks, and myself certainly as well, are ready to move on to the next steps. And, the next step, I think would be, like the is touching into and starting on governance, right? Because we're saying, okay, well, how are we deciding, making the decision on, that these are our, purpose and mission vision statements. I mean, right now there's not so many people that it's would be hard, but I think that we want to start to talk about governance, and that gets
We
into
need to
stuff that
show
we
the model.
know that we've talked about for a long time, right? Which is we make a proposal, people vote on it.
Vote for it. Yep. Yeah, it's really important that we go through those motions, because what we're doing here is we're doing the hard work in Haifa leading up to this, and then now we're doing the hard work again through HSC, so that it hopefully will make it much easier for us to help others to do it faster. We don't want to always continue, like every time we start up a new organization, we don't want to waste 2 years just like when there's tools in place to help move things along faster, because people get so hung up in the details rather than like move fast, break things, but do it in a safe way. And that's what we want to give people the confidence that it's good to just do it, because it's easy to like update it. It's easy to iterate. We want to get people into an agile flow rather than just we get so hung up on we want to be more agile as an not even as an organization of HSC, but as a humanity. We want our cross-cultural communities to be more agile, to be able to adapt to changes much faster. That's what's held back like a lot of groups from the sort of authoritarian, director mindset, because the authoritarian directors just do it. And when you want to embrace like the women of the tribe, and and I say women in gross language, but that's sort of the way it was. It was matriarch, women ran the tribe, made the decisions on where to go, and would like balance the risks of the men, but that's the old days. That's coded into us, and we're too slow because the world is moving so fast. You're already, with AI and everything, we need to be able to, not get left behind. So we have to help an entire humanity get up to speed in a safe way. And that's why we've created these DAO tools, so that like we can move fast, but if like all of a sudden we find ourselves like, whoa, what just happened? We can look back in the code and see what happened. So it's all documented.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that we need to do, is like, this stuff is great, but it's fragile. But when we take this and we commit these shots, these photographs into like chain, or into like a IP, whatever, FC or whatever, PDF, then it doesn't get lost. It doesn't get accidentally deleted, or this company Jamboard goes out of business and we lose the data, or whatever happens. That's we just want to make it safer for people. But yeah, no, this is great. And like to move it from here into like a simple Word document on purpose document, vision and mission, purpose, mission, vision document 1.0, even including these assets, in that process, that would be good, so that we don't slow, so we can get to focusing on what the mission is, what the purpose is.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited for that, right? And so then, because we've been spending a lot of time on it. Good, that's fine. But that's to getting to a place where we can move forward, and then we just put that, right? Then you just have those, so we just have that in the whatever our current, website or promotional material, on the front cover here. You just have you fly that flag and you say, okay, then this is what we're doing. And then anybody, we all know, and anybody who's interested in coming can join. So so that's that. We talked about, like skill shares. I mean, people seem to be enjoying that. We're gonna put a new we're going to put a new tab here on this sheet where people can put like their ideas for their skill shares.
Yep.
So and I'm a great example of this. So Rob, I have like 5 things that I'm like, oh, I could do a skill share on this and on that, but I don't know what people are interested in mostly. So this will give an opportunity for everybody to, another way for people to kind of come in and participate in this way where we don't have to like immediately get everybody into the member portal, which we're seeing is a good thing to not start us here. And that's that's basically it. We also went over coordinate. If you want at any point, you can, if you're ready, you can join coordinate. We've got a few people in here now. The epoch is ending.
Okay, what is the value proposition of this program?
It's a recipient based valuation system. So everybody has, so it's, an epoch, right? It can be once a month, can be twice a month, but over a certain amount of time, everybody gets 100 tokens, right? Here it's called, give tokens. So everybody gets 100 tokens, and then, for like people write down like their contributions. So, so this is, it's to me, it's a complement to the tokenization, and it's also, of more specific, value and resource sharing tokenization. And it's also another method, another novel method model of value sharing. So it's recipient based, right? So everybody lists out, okay, I did all these things, and now the group is going to decide, and it's, it's sort of a little bit like the gratitude token, right?
It's a gifting economy.
Yeah, it's like a gifting economy. So it's turning, it's turning it rather than, turning it from a seller-based valuation, which is a market economy, to more of a, recipient-based, which is more of a gift economy.
Copy.
And I think that there's a lot of things that this, this can do.
But
it's good to start with.
What are the tokens? Are they on ETH, or are they just Web 2 tokens?
No, it's all on chain. So, and there's ways to, right? So there's different ways we can do it. The simplest way, if we're using Hypha DAO, right? And the most simple ways that we export, every month we just export, what everybody gave, whatever, the tokens, the amount of tokens everybody has, and then we just kind of can, add those, distribute
That's
those
good.
in. So it's also, it's also a way to not have to, like put in proposals for every little thing I did. It's like, oh, I wrote an email, now I got to put in a proposal for it. It's, it gets a little cumbersome, I think.
Yeah, no, sure. I like it for like collective processes when people aren't like serving a role.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then to sort of use this as a layer. Oh, and it's showing what the energy flows. What is this?
Yeah, it shows. So this is me, right? So it shows this is the green is what I'm receiving, and from who, and then the brown is what I'm giving.
Okay. So
and then you can click on that's what it is for Newman. For Saya, yeah, it just shows the energy flow.
Cool, that's great.
Yeah.
But then the tokens, the give tokens, so everybody is just given 100 at the beginning of a period?
Yeah, that's the idea, right? There's a lot of different ways. I've been thinking a lot about the tokenomics, right? So there's different ways to work with this. But the idea is that in this way, everybody's just given the same amount of give tokens. Everybody's given 100.
Uh-huh.
And then we just, so it's kind of an equal give pool. But
Right.
then people end up with different amounts.
Sure. Sure. No, that's good. And
Yeah.
then so use case, like so for instance, back back when I was in the brand circle within Haifa back in 2020, I was trying to devise a way to create better teamwork, better team culture. And so my idea, which I still have somewhere, was was every moon cycle, every moon cycle, a given circle, would essentially, fill out a form or do something like this to to like who worked the hardest this period, or like who went the extra mile, or who deserves this or that, based upon everybody in the circle's perspective. And then that algorithm would then result in a financial pool that was set aside every month to be fractionalized.
Yeah.
So this coordinate would serve as that monthly process for having the group through kindness, like rewarding with gratitude those give tokens. And then at the end of the period, every 28 days, every moon cycle, every full moon, it would be great if it was like tied to full moon. Then every full moon, then we see like who in a given circle or in a given group has, because then everybody gets something, but some people get more than others. And that's a group decision, not like some hierarchical manager decision.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's the way I was doing it. Where like you would have like everybody in a circle would be like 3 to 5 people would be like it, would be getting their retainer role, their retainers, essentially, the retainer economy, that's like automated, like a salary, right? And then there was like an extra amount of capital that was set aside specifically for this sort of incentivized reward system. There was another case that I was looking at, which was when you're working in a small group and you're like helping each other, like earlier, you guys were trying to make a decision who was going to do the writing for the next Skillshare. And she's like, well, Saya's like, I already have a bunch on my plate, so I'd rather do less. And then we know that you have a lot on your plate, but you already have your hands in it. So then you will gap fill that, because everybody's sort of getting familiar with their flows and their roles and responsibilities. Even though it might be technically inside Zoe's role description to like generate that copy, from AI, from herself or whatever, but to generate that copy, the culture that we're creating is to have each other's backs, in my opinion, so that we create a culture where like, we're all gap fillers to an extent. Like we help cover for each other. We don't want to end up in a corporate reality where like, that's not my job, that's your job.
Right. Yeah. And I think
that's
and that's exactly what Coordinate. I don't know that Coordinate is like the only, I don't know that it flies if it's the only, value distribution method, but I think it's a great one as a complement, exactly in the way you're talking about, right? Zoe has Zoe's role, and she receives, a certain amount of co-op tokens, a month for that or whatever, and
she already,
Saya, right. But we also, but then to counteract that idea you're talking about, of like, oh, well, that's your job, you do it, to cover for people. There's also the secondary piece, right? And so then it's like a way you can earn 1.5%, or, so it's like, oh, you know what? So Zoe's like, Rob covered for me a lot this month. So now I'm going to give him a lot of these these tokens, which then turn into co-op tokens, right? So it's that extra way.
Question. When you are given a token in the coordinates, can you then give that back away to somebody? Or is it yours at that point?
Yeah, I mean that's this is still to be decided tokenomics.
Yeah. Anyway, I love it. I love it. I want to see the use case as soon as possible where we have people on like the automated assignments where they're just getting tokens weekly. They don't need to think about it. They're going, they have to claim them occasionally, but otherwise, that's automated. So then we have the automated sort of role tokens going out.
Yeah.
And then the co-op, the DAO, the co-op decides like, okay, we're going to set aside we're going to create a pool for every moon cycle that will then be distributed fractionally based upon the percentage of the give tokens in the coordinate maps, so that we can track our sort of day-to-day work and efforts, easily in the coordinate map. We have our like our sort of salary things and other sort of contribution cash considerations and all that stuff in the Haifa app. Yeah, that would be beautiful to like put a proposal into a DAO. And we're creating models for other DAOs here. So it's like, okay, you have a DAO, we recommend this for like team building or culture, for health in the team.
Yeah.
Have a coordinate account to do, and this is how we do it. Here's some other options maybe, but yeah, I really like this pattern, because what was not working was the Discord gratitude thing, because there was no like algorithmic function to that.
Yeah.
Whereas this gives us like, if everybody gets 100 and you have 10 people, that's that's 1,000 tokens. You can easily do the math on that.
Yeah, and it's designed. I mean, it is just designed for that. It's just somebody took that gratitude token idea or whatever and like designed a Web3 platform for it. So it's great. So thank you, Zach, and thank you, Zach and team. Yeah, and I just think it's a great compliment. I think that just in the way you're saying, just in the way you're saying, as far as like, you have your certain roles and your salary, then you have because this compensates for it, it's like, pardon the pun, but it compensates for for where just the straight kind of like my role and my salary, where that methodology is lacking,
which is not always fair. Yeah. What's under vaults when you go to vaults?
Right, so there's more to discover here, right? So vaults is where you can actually have this kind of like turn into fiat currency. There's ways where you can create vaults with, and actually have a treasury. There's a lot you can do with coordinate that I haven't actually been able to explore yet. Do you want to join?
Coins, yeah, bring me in. What type of coins does it have built in, like, ETH? Okay.
Yeah,
you need my ETH?
Yeah,
I need to log in with my ETH. Like
it
MetaMask,
may be connected to ETH. I know. Yeah, I mean, I know. I sign in on my. Here, I'm putting this in the chat. It's just it's the invite. We still have 2 days left in this epoch. If you join, so you have to join with. Well, I mean, you obviously know how to do this. Like I think you have to have either a MetaMask or
MetaMask.
Wait, add members.
Or continue with email.
So yeah, so it's a MetaMask or something else. I don't know. I forget. There's some documentation to it.
Okay.
And they do have a way. They do have a way for people who aren't ready for like Web3 wallets and all of that. They have a kind of, it's, I don't know if it's exactly the term, but it's like kind of a custodial wallet, so that somebody can just give their email and then this service is a custodian.
Yep, that's great. Yeah, I mean, once we get into that, there are tax implications potentially if it's significant for sure. But yeah, but yeah, that's great. So then, yeah, I was just talking to the metagame lead today, the devs, uh, and I showed them Haifa, and they were quite impressed. They're like, "Wow, Haifa's like, you know, you know, ahead of a lot of people in that space as far as the sort of sociocratic circle based, governance
No
and
doubt.
everything." So
Yeah, no doubt.
that was good to hear from somebody that, because I went into their thing back in 2020 because they came along at the same time. Metagame and Haifa started at the same time in 2019, but Haifa is definitely further along because they had a problem in theirs because they're building on ETH. Like so many people, they're focused on ETH, and Nick and Alex and them had the presence of mind to not do that.
Yeah, no doubt.
For some good reason that I still, other than the gas fees, I think part of it was the gas.
I think, yeah, I mean, there might, yeah, there's probably other reasons, but to me, it's definitely the gas fees.
Yeah.
It's especially groups that are trying to get things going with a lot of money. That's a killer.
Yeah, but now that so anyway, so part of the problem is one of their early developers in Metagame came in and did a bunch of work and got a bunch of their seeds tokens. He's number 2 on their list, and they tied their token to your voting share. And now they're fucked because he's gone and he's got like a huge percentage, and there's no decay.
Yeah.
Because they didn't separate the tokens to be like utility and voice as 2 separate tokens, So that was another like thing that a lot of organizations, a lot of DAOs in the ETH space are probably going through, because they just they give out their organizational tokens to measure your voting power.
Right.
And
yeah.
there's no decay on that, and that's
Yeah.
plus, like, if you pump in money, you get more vote.
Yeah.
So that's where Haifa is made the right decision. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you got your purpose doc, because I just want to start to see that stuff go in, get committed to chain in some version, and coordinate. I've been hearing about it from here and also Metagame and other places. So so that's good, because that trades on ETH. So what we can be doing is we can be getting like novel seeds on the ETH network into the vault of the coordinate for the organization, and that could potentially even be part of the treasury. I think we still need to log everything in the Haifa moon cycle, but we only have to do that once a month, whereas like the day-to-day actions are happening in coordinate.
Yeah.
And then we like, I like to figure out this pattern, because when we bring it down to like urban community level, like an artist cooperative, or we need these tools to be like really easy for them to like spin up and not get lost in like the
no doubt
the Haifa land.
Yeah, no doubt. So no, it's exciting. I mean, and look, I think that once we get the right, like the purpose, and once we get these foundational statements, foundational declarations that tie everybody together, then we can start working on a lot of the stuff that you and I know, like, are really excited about, and are fun, and get more operational stuff, and more putting into practice, like having opportunities for the tokenomics, right? Like, I've been thinking about, okay, this is how the tokenomics could work, but it's gotta just go one step at a time. You can't just dump it all out there. It doesn't work.
It's just like, it's, an organization co-op can make a decision like, okay, we want to set aside a pool of funding for this. Another case that I was developing was the life raft, where like to help people like extract out of their corporate reality, or people like in need. Because at a given time, if you have 5 people they're all at different need thresholds within, and sometimes things happen, health or family or whatever, right? And so when an organization can like provide that sort of safety network, that safety blanket or security, you know, to help that person. Now, if a person is constantly trying to access that security, then that
Well,
doesn't work.
Yeah,
And we
that's
have
where we want to
protocol for that.
go. That's where we want to go for sure. But that's a ways off, I think.
That's future, but that's just something to be like planting that seed.
Yeah,
For
I think those are
developing.
the seeds we plant with these purpose and these vision statements. Those, those are the seeds that we're saying that's what those statements are made up of. These aspirational, saying this is a collective, collective change making system, changing model, right? That does support, that's collective empowerment. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in that regen economic sort of cohort and workshop right now, and all of those people, like, it's on regenerative economics and regenerative finance and sort of learning about that from John Fullerton, but a lot of the people, they're most interested in governance, like how do we do this? How do we govern this stuff? And I'm just like, Tega Haifa, da, 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 like so it's like, yeah, it's gonna start pouring people soon again, I think, especially with like crypto going back on the positive side now.
Yeah.
More people, a whole nother wave of people are going to be getting into it and getting scammed on one side, and it's just so we have to help save as many people as possible to know like how to know like what crypto they can trust, what DAOs they can trust, and sort of build that sort of that new reality, the trust-based reality. Okay,
doubt.
cool.
All right.
And then yeah, we can circle like later this week on a little bit of cash flow to help support IT costs
Okay.
for Asana.
Sounds good. I'm just gonna bye everyone.